Like,
let's do it.
let's do it.
We do it, and we do it. We're live. Like things happen.
Yeah. Things are happening because, like, that's the thing that we do. Like, I was thinking about when things happen the other day, and like it's always interesting, right? Because a lot of times you don't plan on things happening and they just happen. And I got thinking, like, what if there is somebody who is planning those things to happen? You know, maybe it's not even a somebody, maybe it's another thing that plans things for things to happen. And so there's this whole revolving world of things that just do things to make things happen. And the more that things happen, the more that other things happen. So like every time one thing happens, two more things have to happen as a result. And so you have this ever expanding situation of one thing happens, two things. One thing happens, two things. One thing happens, two things. 5 things happen, 8 things happen, 10 things happen. You know what I mean? It's like this tree of things. And of course, as everything goes up, it goes down. And so as the things happen up, they have to happen down. And so now you have things springing in that direction, which is the opposite of the things that went up. And those are some whole other things. So that being said, I think the real answer here is that we need to contact Vermin Supreme to be the vaping candidate. You see, Vermin Supreme is a fantastic candidate for president. He wants to lead us into a zombie-powered future, and zombies are plentiful. And so we can utilize the power of zombies to turn turbines in order to keep a lot of perpetual energy. You don't really have to feed zombies, so that works really well. They're just always chasing a brain perpetually. It's awesome. So zombie-powered future, fantastic. Free dental care for everybody in America. Free dental care. Teeth are very important, and it's going to take a strong jawline and a strong bite in order to defend America. So we definitely need strong teeth. And then, of course, ponies for everybody. And who doesn't want their own pony, right? Now, he's never been clear. We've never had him define if he wants every individual to have their own pony or if it's one pony per household. But either way, I'm totally willing to share my pony with my wife if it's given to me. And plus, the guy wears a boot on his head, so you know he's a complete nutcase. He's not hiding anything. And I think he'd make a perfect candidate to defend vaping. So let's do it because, I mean, at this point, any nutcase will do. We've already got a bunch of great people out there. So let's get a nutcase too. Vermin Supreme for president.
So this country, we are voting for this country to be ran by a nutcase that is driven by zombies riding ponies.
That's right. He's a dictator who cares. You know he cares because he's honest that he's a dictator.
He's a dictator salad. That's what we like to call him. A dictator.
You know what happens when you put your dick in a tater, right?
You make tater salad.
Mashed taters.
What is going on, everybody? Had to get over that little hump of zombie dictatorships with ponies for a second. But hey, that's what we do over here. We started off a little bit insane sometimes, a little bit motivational. Depends on how we're feeling.
I promise you, I'm a special brand of crazy. We had this discussion earlier, and yeah. Sometimes it works to our advantage. Yeah. Sometimes you just hear me ramble on about odd shit. Tonight was the latter of the two. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a nice night.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining. Whoa, hiccup. Thank you all for joining us today for another episode of What's in the News with, of course, your co-hosts, myself, Poonsauce Nasty, and, of course, this guy over here, Mr. Sean Typhon, the Angry Hippie. How is everybody doing? We have an interesting show for you guys tonight. We have a couple of different things to talk about. We got something that we just found out about today that literally scooped past our fucking eyes because there was so much going on and we kind of missed it. So it's a few days old, but it's something that I don't think we've really seen many people talk about. So there's going to be a cool discussion we're going to have on this stuff. We're going to bring up a little bit about of the legislation that was brought up to possibly have a nicotine cap. Let's see if we can think of some pros and cons of that. So that's what we're going to discuss today. But first, before we get into all that, Sean, why don't you tell them what you're vaping on, my friend? Somebody pull his string.
Sorry, that was a lot of fun.
I was about to say, somebody pull his string. He's not talking.
Sometimes you just have to remember that once in a while, vaping can still be fun. And so you got to do some dumb shit, like just let it waterfall out and
just go in the
whatever. Yeah, because you know what? I love vaping. and it's fun. That being said, let me go and get my focus button again because, I'm still rocking my OG camera and not the high-powered one because I'm using it for good things. Anyway, Boosh, would you look at this? I said focus. Oh, we don't have a focus button tonight, guys.
Oh, it's the good camera, or is it the...
No, I actually have to manually focus it today. Cool.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, boom. Would you look at this goddamn match game inspired by my brother over there on the green room, Mr. Frames Janklin. I had to step my match game way the hell up. So tonight we've got the Unicorn Vert mod with a Turk V2. That is the Blotto drip tip tying this whole combination in together, making it look stupid sexy. Inside of that, vaping on this crazy stuff right here. It's made by this guy some of y'all might heard of. Here's his name, Coil Turd. Y'all know that fella? He makes this.
I don't know.
Yeah, I heard he does some other stuff too. He might make coils, which would make sense.
I don't think he makes coils.
Coil Turd.
I thought he makes just straight round wire builds.
Oh, that's right, and peach iced tea liquid. But he also makes this, and Boule Bolu is fantastic. It's a banana and sponge cake and frosting and something else that's just fucking delicious. Complements this fine adult beverage because clearly adults do like flavors. It's not even an argument. We know this. So, yeah, complements that really well. Really enjoying that flavor. Up next, here's that Vaporesso Gen mod. Yeah, the Vaporesso Gen, rocking it with the Blotto because the Blotto is sick. If you guys haven't tried a Blotto and you need a dual coil RTA that's easy to build and got fantastic fucking flavor, guys, I'm not kidding. Just do it. Order it from friggin' Fast Tech and wait a month like I did. It still will be the best dual coil sub-ohm cloud chucking you've hit in a long time. Definitely get yourself one. You won't be sorry. Inside of that, finishing off the very last of this bottle right here, ADV's Solely Cannoli. That's an award-winning bourbon custard and an award-winning cannoli combined together with a nice bridge note of tiramisu.
You know you're at the end of a bottle when you have to store it upside down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm vaping on right now because I live in Massachusetts and access to vape products is limited. So instead of rocking a ton of devices lately, just a couple, keeping it mellow. Okay. Back to you, Poonsauce.
I got a few things going tonight. Since we're on the Blotto train, I thought, of course, I got my Sigelli 213, my little beater, with the Blotto on top. And inside of there, I got a vanilla bourbon custard in there. Very, very steeped, but very, very delicious. And then next, I got my Black Dreamer with the Ohana. Just matchiness there with some... What's with the fucking hiccups lately? Jesus Christ. And inside of there, I got some Just Strawberry Punch from Hometown Hero. And then I got my big motherfucker, my Infected by Death Wish. Infected. See, it's okay, you can't see it, but it says Infected. With the Death Trap V2 on top of there. And inside of there, I got some Nom's coconut sticky rice. They're not. It's not actually called Nom. It's from Gold Leaf. That's who they are. Gold Leaf. And then finally, because you have to, I got the Warlock's Hammer. Of course, you cannot have it in a rotation with the Dead Rabbit on top. And inside of there, I got some Crispies by Sickwid. OG Crispies. Just super golden perfection right there. Amazing. And
I feel you.
I think, just about the same color?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And do I have anything else going? I do not think so. That is all I got tonight. So why don't we get into a little bit of it? We're going to save our main new topic towards the once we get over some stuff that we've already discussed a little bit. So, kind of want to bring up a little bit that just recently, I believe it was in the past, like, I would say within the past few days, there was a little bit of a bill that was introduced to legislation to where it's kind of a change. Instead of doing an all-out ban, that it's a legislation that would introduce a nicotine cap, which, in my eyes, I think if, like how we're saying, if we're going to keep this industry around, we're going to have to sacrifice a few things, obviously. And capping nicotine, I don't know about you, Sean, but if we have to cap nicotine to keep vaping around, then let's fucking do it. I know there might be some little discrepancies from it because you think about it, higher nicotine, of course, is easier for people to get off smoking. We all know that. But you got to think about it too. When before 50 milligram salt nic and 70 or 65, you're seeing now in these pod-based systems, people were able to get off smoking for years and years on end with only free-based up to like 12, 18 milligram. I mean, I've seen people use 24. That's perfectly on them, but I would say the most common one would be a 12 or 18. And if we can keep our nicotine around with our flavors and not have these government officials overstepping their boundaries pretty much on making these legislations pretty much all bans of flavors, then I think we'd be in a better situation. So I want to hear your thoughts on this a little bit, because of course there's some pros to this, but of course we all know there's going to be some cons as well. So what are your thoughts on this?
So I've been thinking a lot about this. I've listened to a lot of people's opinions on it. Okay. I understand we're going to need to make sacrifices at some level or another. However, a nicotine cap only works in certain circumstances. The immediate motivation is by limiting that nicotine level, we're going to limit the ability for the teenagers to get the nicotine buzz, and I can understand that. I also know that as a manager of a vape shop for a couple of good years, I had a lot of customers who heavily relied on a 48 milligram free-based pod system, the Juno. 48 milligrams of a free-based nicotine, but that got the job done for those people and kept them off of cigarettes. So I start to think about that. The Juno comes in 3 strengths: 18, 36, and 48. So if you eliminate those 2 highest levels, could that vapor live with having to probably vape a whole pack of pods a day to satisfy their need for nicotine? I don't know that. They may, but I don't know that. And therein lies a concern for me. Also, we start getting into this issue of whose fucking business is it anyway? In this country, I can go buy 151 proof alcohol, and I am totally able to go drink my fucking self into a coma with that 151 proof alcohol if I choose. Whose goddamn business is it if we want to use higher nicotine strengths? I think the issue here, and this comes back to an interesting gun argument. What we don't need is more laws. We need enforcement of existing ones.
Oh yeah, definitely.
have laws that say children should not possess tobacco products, but we don't enforce them and we don't hold these children responsible. Instead, we regulate the entire fucking industry out of existence over it. That's ludicrous. There's no need to make laws that regulate an industry out of existence. You enforce the laws you have and stop the kids from using the products by actually doing something that impacts them in a manner that makes them want to say, yeah, I'm gonna kick that. I want to kick that habit. We've reached a point where a lot of people in society want somebody else to deal with it. And oftentimes we talk about that in the advocacy realm as like, well, I'm not going to do that. Someone else will take care of it. But I mean it in a grander sense of we're reaching a point where all too often people are defaulting to letting the state and the government and the system deal with the problem. Whatever happened to A, mind your own fucking business, and B, holding yourself and those around you responsible for their actions? Somewhere we lost all of that. And we end up with a whole generation of young people who literally will look at their goddamn superiors and say, no, fuck you. I do what I want. And those superiors don't even know how to handle it. Do what you're supposed to do. Discipline them. But we're not getting that. And that's one of the biggest cruxes that we fight here. And it drives me so crazy because at the end of the day, what business is it of the government if somebody wants to use a high-strength nicotine? Do I think it is a small sacrifice that we can make that might solve some of the problem? I do. Mm-hmm. That being said, my understanding is that an 18 milligram pod system, for example, is still more nicotine than the cigarette. If that is in fact correct, then the addictive potential of that vape product has not changed regardless of limiting it. The addictive potential is a mental capacity. Addiction is a mental thing. And this comes now into another scenario and an issue of whether or not addiction is a mental issue. And when we separate what the addiction is altogether and look at it as what the brain interprets as an obsession of one activity or one thing, then yes, it is a mental condition. And in that vein, something has to be done to satisfy that mental need. And it doesn't matter. People can get addicted to scratch tickets. People can get addicted to masturbation. People can get addicted to eating. You can get addicted to all sorts of shit. Kids are getting fucking addicted to Fortnite now.
And parents are suing the company over it.
So, I mean, addiction is within the addicted person and needs to be handled by the individual through working out what causes these persons to be addicted. Addiction is an escape from something in your life. And so once you're at the root of that, you're able to start breaking addictive behavior. But we don't want to confront that because that's scary. Because that requires us as human beings to take a hard fucking look in the mirror and recognize that we're ugly pieces of shit sometimes. That we're incomplete, imperfect human beings, just like the next incomplete, imperfect human being. We're capable of good and we're capable of evil. We've done things we're not proud of. And we're going to have to confront those things if we want to get past those demons. And that shit hurts because it digs deep inside you and it makes you confront that. But you know what? That's where the core of all of these things lie. And if we didn't have babies having babies, raising babies, maybe we wouldn't have a generation of kids who are turning to anything to get an escape. But instead, we want to blame all of the symptoms and not the cause. it is symptomatic of our society that we don't treat the cause, we treat symptoms. Oh, you got cancer, you're going to die from it, but we can make you less nauseous, we can make sure you can eat, we can take this pain away, and we can do that, but we can't cure the disease, because then how am I going to make money?
Where's the money?
Exactly.
Going off personal experience right now, chemotherapy is expensive as shit. It's probably one of the most expensive procedures you can ever have done in your body, besides like transplants and all that kind of thing. And it's such a common procedure. Now, it's crazy that you could say chemotherapy is a common procedure nowadays. That's fucking insane. Where I remember back in the day, like I would think my parents would tell me, like back in like the 70s or 80s, cancer wasn't common. But look at it now. You can go to anybody you talk to. Somebody in their family has had cancer in their life. So you're looking at it to where, bringing this all back to the whole nicotine cap thing. It's, from what I look at it, of course, it's not going to solve the bigger picture that's out there. We all know that. This is so much bigger than just vaping now. We know. But I'm trying to look at the brighter side of this and thinking, can something good come from this? If this goes through, can something good come from it? I think so. Thousands of businesses could stay in business. People won't be losing their jobs. If that was something to where, yes, I know, Michelle, I know I'm not an actual doctor. I know. Dr. Poonsauce would be a doctor you do not want to go see. It might involve a lot of rectal exams. I don't know. Doctor, where do you want me to put my pants?
Here.
Doctor, where do you want me to put my pants? Over there, right next to mine. So it's
the elbows connected to my wristwatch. Oh shit.
I was wearing my watch before I went in there. Whoopsie. And if I was Amish, I'd be a mechanic. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So bringing it all back to this whole nicotine cap. Yes, this is. There's been a few different legislations out there that have been kind of trying to be pushed. I know there's been a few in the state of Michigan that we're hoping sees the light of day because it can save an industry in that state. And we know there's been a bunch of, I know Washington's ban is effective tomorrow, I believe. And I'm kind of curious how that's going through, because before we even started the live, I shared a little video with Mr. Typhon that I saw on Facebook. Kind of got a little heated. It was a little interesting. And we can't let... there's a bigger picture to all this, just about before nicotine strength lowering and all that stuff. I like seeing people get riled up about... I like seeing people get passionate. I like seeing people get to the point to where they're going to start opening their mouth and speak with their heart. But I want to make this very clear to people. We can't let the anger that we have built up for this, even though we want to let it out, there's ways of doing it in a professional way. I mean, we all hear everybody talk about it. We hear Nick talking about it. We hear the ladies over at That's What She Said talk about it. If you're going to go out and say these things, if you're going to make accusations, you need to have the information to you, and you need to say it in a professional manner, because you getting mad at the people that are making these choices and making these decisions for an entire state, kind of going on a public rant on it and like screaming at them when people are videotaping, is it making us look good? I like that they're doing it, because people need to get angry now. That's what we want. We want people to be passionate. We want people to be angry. But there's a way of putting it out to where you could still not... I'm trying to figure out how to word this. You could sound intelligent, which that guy did. He was angry and he was passionate. But I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to where we can
you can do it with tact and class, and that's the key here. I laughed with Poonsauce as we watched it, because I would often say that when I see something like that, I feel like Emperor Palpatine watching, going, good, let the hate flow through you. But at the same time, there's a time and a place for all of that. I say it oftentimes that we need all of the voices in this fight. So that means that we need those cool as a cucumber under pressure people like Greg Connolly.
My spirit animal, Greg Connolly.
We need those people who are, very factually driven like James Jarvis. We need people like myself and Frames Janklin and Poonsauce and the rest of the Ohmies who are very animated and entertaining to deliver information and things like that, and to do our part as well. But we also need those people who are whipped into a frenzy. When I think about the gun groups, and when they get defensive, when new legislation comes that may threaten their guns, it's a similar scenario. You've got people who are cool as can be and know how to just play the game well. You've got people who are just straight statisticians and are like, bing, bang, here's all these statistics. You got people who are entertaining mouthpieces of the game, and then you've got those guys who are angry zealots about it. The guy that's, screaming that, you're going to take my rifle out of my cold dead hand. They need all of those voices because they represent different core demographics of that group. And the same goes for us. We are not a one-dimensional group of people. We are a multifaceted group of people. We have different backgrounds, different ethnicities. We have different lifestyles. And as a result, all of those affect who we are and our personal makeup as human beings. And as such, we are all going to respond to this level of political aggression towards something that we know is the absolute nonsense lie against this whole industry. We're all going to respond to that differently. And it's going to take all of us to represent to those representatives all of those key demographics to them. And when they see that, then they understand that, okay, well, Mr. Trailer Park guy loves his vape. Mr. High Class City Folk loves his vape. Mr. Suburban Country guy likes his vape. Mr. Rich guy on the Cape likes his vape. Like all these different groups and these different demographics, they all like it. So where are we backwards? But if they just think that we're all a bunch of, heavy metal listening, angry hippies, so to speak, then I represent one small iota of our community, and that's not who we all are. There are a lot more people who are completely polar opposites of me who are vapors, and those people should be represented and heard as well, and they need to be.
Definitely. Like everybody as a vapor deserves to be heard. Everybody as a vapor, as a free citizen, deserves to get their voices heard, and just be able to be. Anybody can be a voice for this industry. Mm-hmm. Anybody.
I've said it before. It's funny, right? As a vape advocate, it's a great time to be a vape advocate, mm-hmm. because now more than ever, the general public is curious, and random people are less and less afraid to ask you about it when they see you vape. Point in case, just a couple of days ago, we were doing some work on a woman's car. Hit from my vape before we started doing the next project. And she came over and she asked me, I have some questions. Do you mind if I ask you? No, of course, please. I'd love to answer any of the questions you have. And so she started asking me these different questions. And now, mind you, I'm at work, and I'm working on her car as I'm discussing all of this with her. And I just went into one of those approaches where it was like, well, you may have heard on the news this. And actually, this is really the core of what's going on. What I'm doing is this. What they're doing is this. And what the kids are doing is this, which is a rendition of what I'm doing, but also different. And I explained all of these key little different pieces to her. I left out all of the crazy stuff. I did. I didn't tell her about the MSA. I didn't even get into that with her. I just explained to her that, look, what you hear on the news is based on drug dealers doing drug dealer things, not what in my state was available to legal consumers over the age of 21 in a recreational facility, not what is available to legal consumers over the age of 21 in my state as far as nicotine products are concerned in those facilities, that these were all regulated by different organizations and all of their stuff was safe. And I ended finishing it with a little piece about my story that I smoked for 15 years. And now for the first time, I've been 3 years without a cigarette and I've seen my health improve. And that I urge anybody who is curious to try it because it worked for me when everything else failed. It's that simple. 10 minutes of my time while I worked on my customer's car. And I was able to change her whole perspective on our world because I knew what I was talking about.
It's when the little stories can mean the most, if you think about it. You don't need to, when you're explaining to somebody the first, like when they ask their first questions, when they're not afraid to ask about it anymore. When it's become such a thing that's talked about so much, when people aren't afraid to ask the questions like Sean was saying, you don't need to go into the deep stuff that to some people would be his tinfoil hat kind of thing. But what actually is going on, you can just be simple with it and tell them how it affected you, what they're hearing with the media is false. You can give them, okay, this is what's happening, this is what the government's doing, and this is what's actually happening. And kind of go through that. And some simple things like that can change somebody's mind completely. It's a crazy thing.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's one of those situations where this woman may be a member of her PTA. Maybe she's on the board of selectmen in her local town. Maybe she's involved in some other form of local government. But the fact is I just informed a person who I otherwise would have never encountered in my day-to-day life outside of what I do for a living, and was able to completely change her opinion on this industry in our community, and quickly, because I gave her the right information and the pertinent information. And that's key. You know, all too often we can get into this stuff and we can go nuts. Like somebody asked me about it. There are times I chuckle. I'm like, all right, dog, what you're talking about is only the tip of the iceberg. And I'm only going to, I can only get this deep into it right now with you. Because that's it. We have absorbed all of this. Think of it from this perspective, right? There are people like myself who have obsessed about vape politics for the last 3 years, and there are people who have obsessed over it for even longer. So some of us have been absorbing this for 4, 8, 10 years now. We have become such retardedly huge databases of information that we can overwhelm the average person in 2 minutes flat. And so we have to just sometimes reel it in, keep it simple. And that was what I did. Like, here's what you're hearing. I want you to understand that's not really the case. The black market cartridge thing, one of my favorite lines I use with people is, the same way you hear about fentanyl being used in heroin, or, people putting baking soda in cocaine in the 80s. It's the same idea. They're cutting a product in order to maximize their profit. It's dirty drug dealers doing dirty drug dealer things. And they all begin to understand, oh, wow, yeah, that just makes a ton of sense. Yeah. And now you add in a situation like here in my state where we had a recreational market where the price was extremely high. It drove a lot of people to stay on the street. And that's why we're seeing it. My state, Massachusetts, had its first death. I think it was yesterday. Their first vaping-related death. It was a 60-year-old individual. And it was in area within the state where access would be extremely limited to a legal facility, recreational or medicinal. So how much you want to bet this was a person who could have even been a legal recreational patient who was just trying to get meds.
Got a hold of the wrong stuff.
And exactly. Got some really shitty, tainted stuff.
And then it ended their life. It's unfortunate. It really is. Because these people were trying to take the affordable way out when they knew going into a dispensary is out of their pocketbook.
I mean, I'm a person who hasn't had healthcare coverage since I was off my parents when I was 18. I understand trying to cut costs and find ways around different things. That being said, you don't want to ingest things that you can't verify. And that is where having legal facilities that do that work comes into play. We know full on that e-liquid is fully tested and in certified ISO labs. We know how that's being done. We understand that this is clean product. Mm-hmm. It's in sterile conditions. That being said, outside of the legal markets for cannabis, you don't know that about these distillate products. And so they're finding pesticides, which is harmful for people to vape. They're finding hydrogen cyanide, which my research is showing has to do with fertilizer choices. People are using fertilizers, and when the product is vaporized in this distillate, it turns into hydrogen cyanide. These are things that people in the amateur markets don't understand because they don't have to meet regulations. That's what black markets are. They're unregulated. It's the same black market that'll steal your organs and sell them to a guy in Wuhan. It's the same black market that's selling drugs. It's all shady. It's all dangerous. When you commit crimes, you accept that you are taking the risk of committing crimes. Point blank.
And moving to the topic of selling drugs, kind of. This brings
I like that segue, yes.
This brings into our main topic of the night. I'm still amazed we missed this. Sean, big shout out to you for finding it. And huge shout out to Angela Garrity. She found this before anybody. I don't think I've heard one person mention this. But I'm gonna post the link in the chat right now. If you go on Vaping, maybe like a few days ago, I think this was before. I don't know if she posted this after.
I believe it was 10-4. Mm-hmm.
She has a link to the article right there for you on Vaping. So doctors are doing a thing now to where, obviously, to these parents and to these legislators, vaping with children is an epidemic. And so these doctors are trying to think of their way of curbing this epidemic. They are now prescribing NRTs to children to curb their vaping needs. Let that sink in for a second. They're prescribing nicotine substances, not a tobacco product, nicotine therapy products, with nicotine still in them, to teenagers.
Got to get them off of vaping. Got a bratty 16-year-old that wants to use their Juul, need to get them off? Try Shantix. They might die of suicide. They might get off vaping. Either way, you win. What? Like, come on now. Knock it off. Knock it the fuck off. First and foremost, this is the part that drives me nuts, and it's in the article. They mention that there is not a single clinical study exploring the effectiveness of these NRT products on people under the ages of 18 and 21. So that being said, we're the fucking bad guys as a product that has limited information, which is also a crock of shit that we know. But there's limited information about our effectiveness. There's zero information about the effectiveness of these products on these children. But yeah, let's just prescribe Shantix or the Nicotrol inhaler, or let's slap a goddamn Nicoderm patch on the kid. this is ludicrous. Might I also mention that some of those products are excruciatingly high doses of nicotine. And like, if you ever tried the nicotine lozenge in a 50 milligram, God help you.
And seeing these things on this article, like nicotine replacement therapies like the Nicorette patch, gum, and lozenges are safe and effective for adults who want to quit smoking cigarettes. I don't know about you guys, but...
Well, hey, I mean, 8% effectiveness is some sort of effective, right?
Right. I'm trying to think where... it goes back to where the hell these people get their damn information.
Well, because... from Johnson & Johnson Company. The company for children, by children. With all the profits going to children. Yeah, because, we're all somebody's children, right?
And you think about it, like how Addy Tooney says, doctors are prescribing youth brain poison, to where all these anti-groups are saying that nicotine is the devil, quote-unquote, the devil, but somehow these doctors are actually prescribing that same product to their children to get off vaping. It just blows my mind that vaping has gotten such a freaking...
Well, I mean, Addy makes an interesting point, because I don't know if he meant it this way, but I read it with a huge tone of sarcasm. Because let's be honest, the current climate of pediatrician engagement, I'll call it, is that the way to deal with a overly energetic child is to give them legal methamphetamines. So, if that's our solution to overly energetic children who can't focus, is to give them legal methamphetamines, I'm also not surprised that we would poison them with nicotine, even though it's bad in a vapor product, but totally fine in a lozenge and inhaler that has all the same ingredients of our vapor products plus more. And, a whole host of other NRTs, including Shantix, a product that is known to kill many of its users.
But remember, they took that off their warning label.
To kill many of its users. Let me say that again. The number one side effect of Shantix is suicide. What the actual fuck? We have a big enough problem with teen suicide, and we're going to recommend that we prescribe children, teenagers, a product whose number one side effect is that issue. So we're just going to trade one epidemic for another? It was either little Johnny killed himself or he vaped. Get the fuck out of here. This is ludicrous. Shantix alone proves that the FDA isn't about public health. Because, I'm sorry, but if fucking death is a side effect of a product, I don't call that effective at all. I don't care if it's a 1 in 100, a 1 in 1,000. I don't care what the odds are. If in my clinical trials anybody decides that this is so awful I want to die, bro, that product needs to go. That shouldn't be on the market. We shouldn't be making money off of that. That's immoral, that's illogical, and that's definitely not pro-public health. And that product's been on the market for what, 15 years?
I think there's still commercials on it nowadays.
Our FDA just had to pull how many goddamn heart medications for fucking cancer-causing agents in it? Our FDA doesn't care about public health.
No. It's a crazy thing. It's just, the more you hear about these stupid things, and it's just like, how the fuck are they going to go against all of this, go against vaping so much, but then they're going to pull some ludicrous bullshit like this? It's literally like they're backing themselves into a wall, where it's like, okay, we can't fix this. We're going to try to get rid of it completely, but we know it's not going to fix the problem. So we're going to try to give them something to where, hey, we're going to still earn an extra buck from this. Why don't we prescribe them something and kind of say it's going to curb their need for vaping, but we're just going to fill our wallets still.
Yeah, it's pure evil. It's pure evil.
Like, Angela, that's literally
truly disgusting and disturbing.
Scumbags of the earth thoughts right there.
It it literally turns my stomach. And I want to parlay all of that with reminding everybody to tune into the Ruby Roo channel tomorrow for their 12-hour There's 12-hour stream for suicide prevention. As you can see, I'm extremely fired up about the topic myself. I definitely plan to drop in the evening once I'm home from work to share some of my experiences, because it is a topic that literally affects every American and probably everybody in the world in one way or another. Whether you yourself suffer from those thoughts and those levels of depression, or whether you've been affected by somebody who has suffered from it. At the end of the day, this is one cause that nobody can deny needs to be stopped. We need to get out there and show that as a community, we care, that we have empathy, and we're here for people. And suicide prevention is something that we can all get behind. It doesn't matter who you are, what you stand for. Suicide prevention is huge. A 12-hour stream of all of the coolest people in the vape industry, the people you know and the people you don't, and all of them in between. They're all going to be on there. Pop on for 10 minutes, pop on for 10 hours. Go show some love. Go show some support. And God damn it, I'm broke as hell, but I tell you what, I can muster up $5 to make a donation tomorrow, and I hope you guys can too.
You guys can skip your morning coffee and donate $5.
Absolutely.
To a cause that is a lot more than just, I'm going to not get my coffee. There's so much more to this. I took a part of the last 24-hour stream they did, and I couldn't be even more honored to take a part of that. It was such a great thing, such a great cause. It was so many good people hearing so many fantastic stories, and I'm so excited for tomorrow.
And listen, for those of you who catch us in the replay, that if you're watching us after tomorrow being Thursday, if you're watching us after that, please go back, hit our chat. Addy Tooney drops the suicide prevention information in there. Go make a donation, please. Every penny helps. No mother should ever have to bury their child.
Angela, I know you probably have the link. Go ahead, drop it in chat for people who are watching right now.
Absolutely.
Even though the stream hasn't started yet, you can still go and donate.
Absolutely. You guys want to go donate right now and then donate tomorrow? Do it twice. Do it 3 times, man. I mean,
any little cent counts in this kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Because it's such a cause bigger than it's.
Yeah, it's bigger than all of us.
Yeah, it's something that I hold really close to my heart. I know a lot of people I know hold it really close to their heart. It's something that you don't fuck around with. It's something that it's such a scary thing where it's such a common thing to hear about nowadays. But It shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be the case. There's so many good people who have taken their own life because of it. So many good people. And it's something that we can't allow happen anymore. So if any little buck you can spare to help for this cause, please donate it. This is such a great thing.
And all that, on top of all of that, if anybody watching tonight ever needs somebody to talk to because they're in that situation, I think I can speak for both of us.
Instantly.
Feel free.
I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll stop whatever I'm doing.
And as soon as I possibly can, I will get back to you. Because we've all been in those dark places before. And if it's really that bad, please don't hesitate. Sometimes talking to a stranger is a lot easier than talking to somebody you know, because they don't know anything to judge you by. And if anybody's learned anything about me, I really don't give a shit about much. I try not to judge at all, because we're all human beings and we all go through our own shit. We are who we are. So, don't hesitate. Nothing but love, guys. You're loved.
And if you guys want to go out there and promote, I know Lando was just asking if there's any way you can do to promote it. I believe Angela and Ruby and them have been sharing the kind of little, like how they have their little bumpers. It's like a little video they've been sharing on like Facebook and all that. Go ahead and give that a share. Get people to tune in. Get some non-vapors to tune in. It's going to be a little bit of vaping talk in there, but it's going to be mostly about this great cause.
And that might be great, because you never know. This could be an opportunity for somebody to connect with our community on a whole new level. So, please let everybody know. There's so many good people taking part of this. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. You want to see the big heart of the vape community in action? Come check this out tomorrow.
Yeah, this is an every year thing. This is one of the most things I look forward to the most, anything in this community. I care about this thing happening tomorrow more than any convention you can ever go to, any giveaway, any new mod coming out. No, this is what matters.
Yep.
This is what this community is all about, is caring for each other and being there for each other, because we all know somebody in that kind of state of mind, and we're going to do whatever we can to help.
You know it.
And so please make sure go to I don't know if the streams is set yet, but if you can go to set a reminder for it, if the link's up,
go smash the bell. Make sure you get an immediate notification when they go live. It's going from 12 Pacific to 12 midnight Pacific. So if you're out here on the East Coast like me, jump at 3 hours. That's 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Central like Poonsauce, 2 to 2, so on and so forth. But yeah, guys, 12 hours. Like I said, drop in for 20 minutes, drop in for the whole time. It doesn't matter. Just come show some love. Come hang out. Come show some support. And please.
Damn right, Addy Tooney.
Make a donation.
# Worldwide Support Network. That's what we are.
That's right.
We're a goddamn worldwide family. We're a support network. We're all in this together.
That's it. And I mean, it's interesting because to kind of bring it back to the topic at hand, this kind of goes back to what I mentioned at the beginning with nicotine caps, that at the end of the day, all addiction stems from a desire to escape something. I'll say it. I was addicted to opiates at one point in my life. I had a loved one die from a drug overdose that stopped me like dead in my tracks and went, holy shit, I got to stop this. This is ludicrous. I'm going to end up like that. But it took me a long time to be able to look myself in the mirror and understand who that guy was, why I'm so angry, why I'm trying to suppress all of that anger, why I did those drugs, why I do those things that I do to try to keep that anger at bay. Where does that anger come from? And how can I, as a now more enlightened, understanding individual of the origin of that trauma and pain, now use it in a proactive manner to deal with it rather than a destructive manner, which would be reactive. And that's the core of this. Everyone gets addicted to things because they're trying to escape things. And so kids are getting addicted to nicotine because it gives them a rush and it makes them feel high. Well, why do your kids want to be high? What is going on in your child's life that your kid needs to release by getting some sort of high? Whether it's nicotine, what have you. Why does your child need that experience and desire it? That's the root of this. That's the scary question that nobody really wants to answer, because it requires all of us to look at ourselves. Because there's parents out there who are going to have to go, fuck, I'm wrong. I've put too much pressure on my kid. Or fuck, I'm wrong. I didn't put enough pressure on my kid. Or shit, this is, this destructive situation has led to my kid trying to escape. Or shit, my kid's going through this stage in their life and they don't understand how to cope with it. And there's so many origins to this. And we don't talk anymore as people. We don't talk as people anymore. There was a time that we would get around together, not on an internet web show, not anything like this. We'd get together in the same room. You go back to the Old West days in this country, you would have the meeting houses and things like that. Even in the early settlement days, you'd have meeting houses. These were places where the whole community would get together and discuss important topics of the day. And they understood how to have disagreements. They understood how to take those disagreements and let bygones be bygones, and say that just because you and I disagree on topics A and B doesn't mean that C, D, and E are out of the question. And it doesn't make you a terrible person because we disagree. We just happen to disagree. And we can still be neighbors and everything's fine. But we don't know how to do that anymore. We can't talk. And it's to the point that that microcosm has come all the way down to the family unit. We can't talk anymore. It's difficult to hold a conversation about those deep matters with family, because those are the people that we don't want to let down, that we don't want to have judge us. We want them to be happy and proud of us. And so it's scary to say, hey, I'm not comfortable in my own body, and that's why I do drugs. And the root of my discomfort is A, B, C, D, E, whatever. That's not comfortable. And some people would rather do the drugs than have those uncomfortable conversations now. And it's why we see these things being more prevalent. And I say it a lot, that there's this shift in consciousness, and we need to get over this weird grinding point that we're in. And that's an example of it, where there's friction of our humanity and our lack thereof. And we need to get our humanity back. And that's something that we're struggling to do. Vapors are people who are clearly displaying our level of humanity, because we fight for this not just for ourselves, but for everybody else out there who hasn't had a chance. And that's huge. That level of empathy is incredibly strong. That shows that every person involved in this community has a heart as big as all outdoors. And that's what needs to be projected most. We need to share that love and empathy, and continue to project that outwards in all aspects of our life, not just as we fight and advocate for this stuff. And as we do that, we can get to the root of the hard questions and get to those hard answers and be better people and a better society because of it. But we have to get there and accept those hard truths first. And until we're ready to face those scary, hard truths, we're going to constantly have this grind and this friction.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, really. Yeah, so make sure to tune into that live stream tomorrow. It starts at noon Pacific, so like Sean said before, 3 Eastern, 2 Central. 1 Mountain Time, if you want to consider that a time zone, because people apparently do live there. And you're going to hear a lot of fantastic stories. I'm going to be sharing a story that I've been struggling with as of recently, so that's going to be, I haven't really talked about it much. I've told a few people, and we're going to be hearing so many stories. We're going to get to be able to help so many people, because I look at that too. Like, if I talk to somebody about a struggle I'm going through personally right now, then they can share their story, and it can inspire me it can open up your heart. It really can. Things that we're going to hear tomorrow, some of the stories, some of the emotional, it's going to be emotional, guys. So make sure you might want to bring a box of tissues with you if you're going to watch, because things might get a little teary-eyed. It really will.
I'll probably cry.
It's a touchy subject. But this is something that I feel like everybody needs to take part of, because it's such a great thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great place for us to wrap it tonight too. Is, guys, for real, please go take part in that tomorrow. Go watch it if you're watching us on the replay. Go rewatch it if you're watching it on the replay. Mm-hmm. Take part in that and be the change you want to see in the world. We've all heard the statistics. We all know all the different numbers that are out there attached to these things. Let's go change it. We can do it. We can. And I believe in you all. And that's the thing. I've seen what we can do in small amounts of time for vaping. Let's see what we can do for this cause. Because this cause, again, is so much greater than ourselves. We can change the world by making a big impact on this cause. And Sean, you want to hit him with it?
Yeah, I can't urge you guys enough. You know what I mean? It's a tough topic. So, yeah, man, remember, you guys are loved by me, by Poonsauce, whatever side he's on, because I'm not set up the same way he is. But still, you're loved by us. You're loved by other people in this community. And you make people proud. Because you guys make me proud every day. I see you putting in the hard work. Because I know most of you. We're that tight of a community. And that's the thing I love about it. So you know what I'm going to keep telling you? You know it. We're going to keep giving the bastards hell. So don't let those bastards get you down. Remember to be cool and don't be a dick. And yeah, we're going to keep fighting so that we can keep it cloudy. Hit him with a poonie.
Definitely, guys. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Please, I'm urging you. If you have any other shows to watch, it's not. You can rewatch them. That's something you can go watch the replay on. This is
hop in and be like, hey yo, there's this really big deal going on over here. Y'all should go peep it.
I strongly urge every single one of you to show up to that show because it could be a life-changing experience. It really is. First experience I had with it was life-changing, and I bet you tomorrow's gonna be life-changing as well. So I strongly urge every single one of you to go check out that stream. On that note, guys, we'll see you over there tomorrow. Me and Sean will definitely be taking part of that. See us all. You can see us in chat, see us on the stream. And don't forget to come over here on Saturday. I'm going to have a nice little guest from north of the border. I don't know. I heard he likes the gear and something like that. He really likes the gear, I think. He has like 20 of them in his repertoire, so...
Yeah, if you're referring to who I'm suspecting... I saw an image recently, and that is...
Things might get a little weird there, eh?
Gears.
Things might get a little weird there, eh? I don't know.
So, if you haven't figured it out, I hope that got your gears turning.
Yeah, if it gets your gears turning, your stratum's not at 0 anymore. And I hope you guys are excited for that show as much as I am, also. And make sure that like button, if you're catching the replay... Write a comment or something. Let us know you're watching. Let us know what you think. We love to hear feedback from you. And yeah, let's keep fighting the good fight, guys. That's all we can do.
Absolutely.
We will see you all next week.
Vape on, friends!